Hello guys, welcome to another backtesting video. This is the 40th backtest 40, and today I'll be backtesting the data of 9th May 2024 Thursday. So this was a Thursday trade. The weekly bias was bearish and the weekly bias was not as clear. GU and DXY both were doing same sort of things, and whenever the both of them do same sort of things, that is when my bias is not clear. So I trade the daily bias. Whenever something like that happens, I trade the daily bias. So on GU, my daily bias was bullish. Why? To fill up this fair value gap. The target was so clear, and also it made sense with DXY. On DXY, it made sense to come down, fill up this fair value gap, right? And yeah, that was what I was looking for, a quick trade. Obviously, the weekly is not clear, so the higher time frames is not as clear, and also the market has been chopping around for a bit now. Even though we will trade. I mean, if we get the opportunity, why not to take the trade, right? So it made sense to go and fill up the fair value gap. So that is when I go to the lower time frames, like the 4 hourly. On the 4 hourly, there was no change of characters. And also one more thing, whenever there is a whenever the bias changes from bullish to bearish or bearish to bullish in that week, you want to see a change of character, right? Obviously, if there will be a change of character, there will be a supply or demand. Because of that supply or demand, that change of character happen. So the higher the time frame that will happen, the better. The weekly, the daily, the 4 hourly are most ideal. But even on the 1 hourly, it works sometimes if the momentum is very clean, momentum is very high. So whereas on 4 hourly, we can see this was the low that caused this higher high. So the market was still trending between this. So I call this build-up of liquidity, and that is when I go to the H1. On the H1, there was a change of character. On H4, there was no change of character because the market was trending from that low till high. The market was still bullish, but it was inside that zone. On the hourly, this was the low that caused this high, and this is a clean change of character right here. So what I was looking for going on Thursday was a quick demand zone mitigation on the hourly, and then a buy from here. So that was what I was looking for. And if I show you my DXY, so DXY was the opposite. But on DXY, I got the 4 hourly change of character. So DXY, I was looking for sells to fill up the fair value gap, as you can see right there. And on the H4, we got a bullish change of character, which is not ideal. We want a bearish one. So we also got a bearish one right here, lower highs, lower lows. So this was the supply zone. I could have traded. It was not one of the cleanest days, as you can see. Just by price action, just by technical analysis, you can say if you master technical analysis, you can say, like, you can have a basic idea if that day is high probability to trade, if that news, what that news is gonna do, right? If your technical analysis is clear, then those sort of things becomes easier. So I wait for the Asian range to close, and obviously if I'm looking for buys, then I will wait for the Asian low, previous structural liquidity to sweep, demand zone mitigation, and then heading towards the upside. So that was exactly what I was looking for. And if my setup appears, why not take a trade? So I was thinking something like that. And on DXY, there was some sort of supply right here, but it was just not clean. So DXY bias alignment was not that clean, on point. Whereas on GU, the market did went down. After this bearish candle, obviously I need a 15 minutes to start changing characters. First, after the hourly did something like this, first the 15 minutes will start to give a rejection and then give bullish momentum, right? So the lower time frames start to change character first. That I've noticed, that I've learned. So yeah, you may be wrong and you might take a loss. Obviously, that's always gonna be a probability, because trading is a game of probabilities, not certainties. Everything you wanna see in a trade might be present, and still you can lose, bro, because that's the probability. You don't become profitable by not taking the trade. You become profitable by taking the trade whenever your setup is there. With a educated guess, all you're doing is managing risks. Risk management is gonna make you profitable, not any strategy, not any psychology. Risk management. And once you put certain systems in place, certain checklists in place, and your trading plan is clear, your checklist is clear, and you are only taking trade with the trend, with your strategy, and you are also managing risks on top of it, and bro, that is when you're gonna see results in trading, bro. Most people skip that part. So I entered the market at 12:30 p.m., which was our timing, London open. So, and also the previous structural liquidity sweep, Asian low liquidity sweep, previous structural liquidity sweep, M15 rejection, as you can see right here on 12:15. and also there was M1 change of character. So what did the market do? Stop us out. So this was a loss. As you can see, yeah bro, losses are part of the game, and we take losses like a man should take losses, learn from it. It was a loss, but I learned from it, so obviously in the long term it's gonna help me. So also what did the market do was, there was also a demand zone here on the hourly. As you can see, I've noticed one thing, that a pattern, that whenever our zones that we monitor, for example, I was monitoring this sort of demand zone, right? At first I was monitoring this demand zone, but yep, I was monitoring this demand zone, but what did the price do? It went, swept the liquidity from this demand zone, and then reacted off of this demand. There was also a demand just below the demand that I've marked, so obviously there is also a probability that it will make a move from there. So to be honest, if this was a live market and I was trading, after my initial loss, I would have taken this trade again, because I believe in my strategy, I believe in myself, and I believe in God, right? So that is when I saw that my trade played out, and yeah, the idea was correct, the idea was not wrong, but the timing, and just it was a losing trade. So I've learned from it, and I've learned a very important thing, that whenever your zones doesn't work, that might be used as liquidity to fuel a bigger move, something like this. It was a beautiful move happened, just our setup was, I mean, what I want to see was not exactly like that, so I didn't took it. I took it, I lost it, so on to the next trade.